everyone, and welcome to another episode of Taco Matta Tuesday, the show where we eat healthy, delicious tacos and have conversations about life. Dear athlete, the way you talk to yourself is so important. Your self-talk impacts your confidence, your body language, and the way you approach situations. Try to speak with yourself with just as much respect as you speak to others. This was a cute little post that came across my Instagram feed, and I just thought that it perfectly highlighted all the things that I wanted to talk about today on the podcast. I had the amazing opportunity to run a workshop specifically for DECA hybrid athletes this weekend, and I want to share a little bit of the magic that went down as it relates to overall confidence and, again, mindset for your upcoming race. So we're going to chat a little bit more about that. But before we do that, let's go ahead and talk about the taco of the week. So I have been having a lot of bell peppers as of recently, and I actually last week had a stuffed bell pepper. If you've never had one of those before, I'm sorry. You need to go search up a recipe right now and figure that out because they're just delicious, okay? I remember that me and my best friend Megan actually made a stuffed bell pepper inspired taco out of jalapeno peppers, out of poblano peppers, out of green peppers. We did like a bunch of different type of peppers as the taco shell, and we created the recipe Taco Bell. It's pretty dang delicious. So if you are interested in going and trying that out, and yes, having something that tastes like Taco Bell yet in the crunchy tortilla form, which is a bell pepper instead, then you need to go and check out the show notes before you leave the episode today. Alrighty, let's go ahead and jump right into the podcast. So, like I said, I ran a workshop this weekend, and it essentially was all around how to get better at DECA racing. Didn't matter which race style of DECA you primarily focus within. It was all about how do you get more efficient and how do you build a strategy that you can become really confident and dialed into for the next time that you race. And so at the very end of the workshop, one of the girls that I actually do some online training for, she was just like, Kayla, like, what do you think is the biggest thing that I need to improve on, like, after today and after what you've seen? And I looked at her and I said, honestly, your confidence. She goes, oh my gosh, why does everyone keep saying that? I'm like, it's because it's true. That is the only thing that is keeping you from getting exactly where it is that you want to be versus where you're at now. And so I wanted to split the podcast topic today up into two little segments, which I think both very much relate to one another. So it's not a true split podcast, but I want to talk a little bit about confidence and then really dive into how to create the correct mind space for your upcoming race. Or if you are not an athlete and you have a upcoming day of just an interview or a big talk or presentation at work, just a big event in life that's important to you, I want to be able to give you some tips and tricks there to help you with being able to create the right thoughts and the right focus for that day. So if you, like the individual that I mentioned, struggle with confidence in being able to show up to certain situations in your life and feeling like, I freaking got this, here are some things that I want to share with you. The first thing is that you probably haven't allowed yourself to learn from your failures. And I put failures in quotations because I truly don't believe that there are failures in life. I just think that there's always learning opportunities, right? There's those moments where we go up against the grain a little bit and maybe we get an outcome that wasn't ideal or expected. You haven't taken the opportunity to really learn from those and give yourself grace from those. If you're struggling with confidence, I really do believe that it's hard for you to look at every single situation that you've chose to walk through and think, wow, like, I'm really proud of myself for X, Y, and Z. And on the same, wavelength, I'm also really grateful that I learned XYZ lesson. I feel like, again, if you struggle with confidence, that there's probably a chance that you struggle with doing those things with any situation, but especially those that are more of the failure type. So give yourself the space to actually go back and learn from those. And you don't have to be in the moment to actually do that. Go back to those moments, think through those, and fully unpack those moments and think, did I really give myself the opportunity to unpack that moment and to learn the different lessons that life was trying to teach me in that moment? And I think what you'll come to find is that you're a lot stronger than you give yourself credit for, and the fact that you walked through that situation and you chose to do the dang thing. But then B, you're going to realize, wow, like this is, again, the opportunity for me to really level up. And here's what's going to help me do that. And that should boost your confidence immediately, because you feel like you actually have the answers of the how to get to your why, right? Or to get to your what. The second thing that I would say if you struggle with confidence is to look at your daily routines and your structures and probably even your habits. Are you consistently showing up for yourself? And if you are not, then you are not allowing for yourself to have your own back, to build belief, to build trust within yourself. If you struggle with routines, if you struggle with structure, if again, you struggle with having habits that allow for you to say, I have my own back, then that's where you need to start. And I'm telling you guys, this isn't rocket science here. This isn't like go climb the biggest mountain. This is, I want to get up and make the bed every single morning because it makes me feel good. It makes me feel clear in the head knowing that my space is clean, right? It's those little things that helped me. Like I get asked all the time, what did you do when you first got started in weight loss and how did you stick with it? I kept it simple. I had no idea what the hell I was doing, you guys. Zero clue. But I just found habits that I felt were positive for me and I stuck with them. And through that, I was able to say, wow, I'm showing up for myself in ways that I've never showed up for myself before. And therefore, I have my own back and I'm starting to trust myself that I have my own back. And that is a very, very empowering experience. So if you're struggling with building confidence, maybe start with showing up for yourself first in a way that maybe you're not showing up for yourself right now. The other thing that I would mention is I would ask you, when is the last time that you did something that truly scared you? And if you have done something recently that has scared you, then did you fully unpack that experience, right? Just like being able to go back through those failures or what you're deeming as failures, going back through and unpacking those, it's the same thing here. If you're giving yourself the gift of going against the grain and putting yourself in that uncomfortable space where growth inevitably happens, did you give yourself the opportunity to actually grow and learn from it? And if not, bingo, right? Go back to those places, allow for yourself to fully unpack. But if we take a few steps back and you're realizing, I don't really take a lot of leaps, I don't do that, well, then this is your opportunity to do that. Because here is the kicker, you guys. And this is honestly probably the last thing I'd want to mention to you, is to redefine what confidence means to you. Most people think that confidence is something that you have to have in order to take the first step, when in fact that confidence is what is gained after merely just trying. And so maybe if you're struggling with confidence, maybe you need to redefine that and realize no one actually has it all together. No one is actually super confident or knowing of what they're doing. They're just willing to trust themselves that they can handle whatever it is that comes on the other side. And then when they do handle whatever it is that comes on the other side, hence there comes the confidence. So again, if you're struggling to take that next step, redefine confidence for yourself, realizing that it only comes therefore after the fact of you taking action, and start to collect those little things, those little moments of fear and what has come from stepping into those moments of fear, and watch your confidence actually soar. So I hope that that truly helps, and I hope that that encourages you to go sign up for that race that's making you a little queasy inside, that maybe you're afraid of, well, if I fail, what's going to happen to me? Go and sign up right now and step into that fear and watch how you show up simply because you are choosing to do the thing that scares you, okay? That is how you're going to build your confidence, and it just takes reps. And if you continue to give yourself each and every single one of those reps and those opportunities, you are going to be in a vastly different spot, asking yourself vastly different questions, and then being able to have vastly different conversations with yourself in a year from now. I can promise you that. It's such a cool thing to experience. So that's my little talk on confidence. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was race day mindset. And I absolutely loved giving this talk. So during the workshop this weekend, I went through all of like the how to do certain things efficiently, race tips, et cetera, et cetera. But it doesn't matter, you guys, how physically fit you are. If your mindset, if your head and your heart are not aligned with your body, it's never going to come together for you. You could be, like I said, the fittest person in the world, but if your headspace is not in the right spot, you're never going to be able to actually see what it is that you're capable of. And so I knew that I'd be shooting myself in the foot and not giving the athletes the best part of the program or best part of the workshop if I didn't address these things. And so I wanted to address a couple of them with you because I feel like they're just so important. So I talked to them a lot about, again, how important it is to make sure that those things are aligned and know why it is that they're stepping up to the plate and doing these races and doing this training. If you don't know that why, well, that's the very first thing in making sure that you have an aligned headspace is why in the world would you show up and continue to beat yourself to the ground and put yourself through all these puke-worthy experiences if it's not really even worth it? And how are you even supposed to build a positive mindset that's going to take you through the hardest of days if you don't have something that's convicting enough to actually make you want to move, right? That to me just sounds like insanity, to be quite honest. So one of the first things that I mentioned to them, and I guess I could kind of relate these more to steps, is when it comes to race day, both in the day of the race and then the days leading up to the race, the most important thing that you can do is get calm and get quiet. And I use the example that every morning before I race, I wake up in silence and I just start to foam roll. I will do scraping, I will do foam rolling, I will do flossing. Like I will do a variety of different mobility techniques with just no sound on, just to allow for myself to really focus on my breath and to allow myself to just be. And what this does for me is it keeps me in the right state that I need to be in so that I can maximize on the energy that I need when I need to use it. And so that is the first thing, is I would take a look at your routines leading up the days before and even the morning of the race. Are you giving yourself a second to just be calm? Are you actually doing breath work to bring your heart rate back down and allowing for yourself to just see what's happening inside your body? And something that I told them too is like having nerves or having that feeling of like your stomach turning or whatever it is that you might feel, that's not a bad thing, you guys. Especially when it's harnessed, it's not a bad thing. I always look at that as, okay, there we go. My mind has now fully accepted that we're about to go do something kick-ass today. And this thing is going to require a lot of effort, and it's going to require me to go to the pain cave a little bit. So therefore, my body is starting to rev the engine and is starting to get prepared for all of the things that I'm about to go and do. That's not a bad thing. That is like fight or flight at its finest. But we have to be able to know how to harness it. And that's where it comes into step 2, is being able to redirect your focus, right? Is there are going to be thoughts that are flying at you a million miles a minute, right? Everything from, do I have this piece of equipment, or do I have all these things, or what time do I need to be there? What's my warm-up tactic? Wait, what race am I doing again? Like all of these different things, right? And so being able to have the skills and redirecting your focus is going to be huge. Here's the other kicker, you guys, is that on race day, not everything is going to be super positive. Your thoughts and the things that are going through your head, some of them might be kind of nasty and kind of negative. I know there's times where I get like the doubt and the worry of like, oh my gosh, what if this happens? What if I fail? But what I'm able to do a lot faster now than I was a year ago is be able to go, okay, I see you. I acknowledge that. This is probably where it's coming from. But instead of thinking about that, I'm going to redirect my focus to the things that I know that are going to serve me in this moment and before the race. And this is a reason, you guys, why I have things like a book of proof and why I have an entire phone album created just for videos of me doing the thing. I am such a visual person. Like literally the days leading up to a big race or the morning of, I will pull out my phone and I will scroll through past race videos of me celebrating movement, of me being able to have so much joy, and the fact that I used to not be able to do this. I used to not be able to actually get off the couch and live my life. And here I am choosing to not only live my life, but do it in a way that allows for me to experience it all, to experience the pain in such a good, healthy way, and actually show myself what it is that I'm possible of. So I'm inviting you to create a book of proof, whether it's something that's visual like I have, being it pictures, videos, things for you to look back at, to be like, yeah, I got this. I can totally do this. If I did that, I can do this. Or if you're more of a write it down person, I like to get out my thoughts. Maybe it's I want to do a voice memo of me speaking through things, and therefore I can listen back to those things in moments where I need to hear my own self-talk, right? Or writing things down in a book, writing things down in a notes app on your phone. Whatever it is, that proof of things that you've done in your training, the wins that you've had, all of those things are going to vastly help redirect your focus to make sure that you're focusing on the right things before you go and you crush house, okay? The last thing that I told them is that the final step is to get into state. And the most important thing about getting into state is knowing what state it is that you need to be in order to perform at your highest level. For me, again, my state at the beginning of the day is very calm. I like the foam roll. I like the breathing. I like the meditating. I like keeping my heart rate at bay. Once I get into the environment, I know that the music goes up, there's more social interactions, and the intensity starts to increasing a little bit, right? So I have this pact with myself that if at any point in time it gets to be too much because I'm either talking to too many people or getting too excited by coaching too many people, cheering them on, which I absolutely love to do, but I know that I tend to expend a lot of energy doing that. And I feel like I might fall over, and that's not good when I need to go and race for myself, right? So I make a pact with myself to, obviously stay true to myself and wanting to love on and cheer other people and support other people, but at the same time that I work really hard for this and that I need to have boundaries. And so understanding what those boundaries are too, for you to communicate with other people. I have to communicate with people all the time of like, hey, I just need 5 minutes to go and be by myself. I'll be back in a little bit. And they're like, cool, right? Do you have those boundaries set into place based off of what state it is that you know that you need to get into and stay in for you to execute? And then the minutes even leading up to the race, I am dancing. I am just like freaking lit up on the music. Like I am like, okay, there's nothing else to think about right now. This is it. I just get to be super joyful and appreciative in this moment that I get to go out there and do this. And so that's when I live it up, as I allow for all of those things that are like, all right, let's rev up inside the body. It's time to go do something important. I let that start to fly because I know that it's game time and it's time to go. So I hope that is helpful, and I hope that you can take a few things from that and apply it to your next big day, whenever that might be. And here's something that I want to leave you with that I think that is just as important as anything else that I've said today, is that you can go fast alone or you can go far with others. And I cannot tell you how important that has been for me this year as it relates to my overtraining and getting to the goals that I've wanted to accomplish in the DEKA hybrid racing space. By hiring Kevin Gregory to be my coach and to be a part of his Underdog Podium Chasers team, I have seen new confidence levels actually soar. I've seen myself get more physically fit than I've ever seen before. I've seen myself put up some insane times, not just in races, but in training. And it's just been because I've been a part of a team and I chose to not go at it alone. And quite honestly, the person was able to see something incredible in me. Kevin was able to see something pretty incredible in me that I wasn't yet able to see within myself. I had an inkling that it was in there, but I had no idea of what was actually possible. And he was able to see that within me, believe in me, and then give me programming and certain things to help me pull that out of myself to be like, heck yes, I'm badass and I can go out there and do anything that I put my mind to. And so one thing that I encouraged the people at the workshop was, maybe you've been going at this alone for a while, and maybe while you've gone really far, maybe it's time to allow another people to help you. You don't have to go at this alone. You really, really don't. And I get it. I'm an independent person. I like to be able to say that I did the thing on my own. But you know what? I'm having so much fun. And I am just so grateful for the fact that I have a team, and it's not just me out here grinding every single day, that I have people to fall back on and learn from and grow with. Guys, it is so pivotal to just your sport, to your development, and just to life. Finding joy and being able to live it to the fullest with people next to you that have the same exact values that you do. So all of that to say, you guys, if you feel like you need someone to help you find that confidence, that belief in yourself, to go out there and be able to trust your training, I'd love to be able to help you in that. And the exciting part is that my workshop replay is going to be live next Wednesday, August 7th. And so if you are interested in snagging a copy of that replay, it's about an hour and a half long worth of instruction where, again, I go through what are the 4 most important stations for you to focus on within your training as it relates to DECA, some other station tips and tricks, how to stay efficient, how to dial in the correct race strategy for you. So many big golden nuggets outside of what you already heard today. That again is going to be available on August 7th, and I'll be sure to post that in the show notes for you guys to get access to. Okay, so I won't have that this week, but next week I will be sure to post that in the actual show notes, the link to go and grab that. But what is already waiting in the show notes for you is a link to my online personal training interest form. If you are in that space where you're realizing, I don't want to go at this alone, I want to be able to have someone to go through the weeds with me to help me see my potential, I would love to be able to help you do so, whether that be goals that you're trying to accomplish within the hybrid racing space, general strength goals, weight loss goals, whatever it may be. I would love to be the person to partner with you on that. Thank you guys so much for showing up for you today. And if you haven't already, please be sure to rate and review the podcast and share this with friends and family members that need to hear this message and know that by doing so, it's going to go such a long way that you thought of them and gave them the tools to help them see success within their life. So I just appreciate for all you guys do on the other side of the microphone. It's always a joy and a pleasure to speak to you. And until next week, I hope you go out there, do the dang thing as always, and I will see you guys next week for another episode of Taco About a Tuesday. See you then.